because it's cold today. Hello, hello, and welcome to the streams. Hello, welcome to the streams, everyone. Hello, I am Icarus, and these are the streams. Today is a very special day because today we will be diving finally back into the Kingdom Hearts Chronicle. Sorry, let me get this up because I'm not as prepared as I should have been. I made it 9 o'clock whenever I kind of probably should have kept it 9:30, but I'm okay. I'm okay. So for anyone who doesn't know, the Kingdom Hearts Chronicle is a hold on. Is it? No, that's not it. Incorrect. Hold on. No. Oh my god. Okay, hold on. Okay, sorry. Kingdom Hearts Chronicle. Let me explain. Kingdom Hearts Chronicle is a project that I've been doing. I'm trying to go through all of Kingdom Hearts in chronological order. So the games of Kingdom Hearts as a franchise, for anyone who knows, can be a little intimidating to get into. It's like One Piece if the story was released not in the right order. So I guess it's kind of more like Star Wars, but you kind of actually have to know the story in order, or at least know it in a decent way to make it make sense. Look, Nomura makes this a little difficult sometimes. So, point is, I thought, hey, what if, this was back whenever I was streaming, I started streaming like 2000, oh wow, when did I start? 2020 for sure, I would think. Yeah, it was around 2020 for sure. And I started Kingdom Hearts Chronicle not too long after that. So I've been doing this for like a year and a half now of the Chronicle. And so I try to go in chronological order about what happens in the story to kind of help people understand who may not have gotten into it or might not know everything. So the games were released in a different kind of way. It was Kingdom Hearts 1, obviously, and then we went to Kingdom Hearts 2. Well, Chain of Memories actually came after, and then 2, and blah, blah, blah. But I thought it would be interesting for two reasons to go in chronological. One, I thought it might be interesting to see how the story unfolds and see if Nomura actually knows what he's doing. To go in a chronological order instead of like you start with um, uh, New Hope in Star Wars, and then you go back and watch the prequels and all that. Instead, going through the prequels first and seeing if that works. And number two, I thought maybe it could be easier for someone to understand the story if we went chronologically to see, instead of going back, okay, so this is back at this time, so I know we did this game, now we have to go back to this game, so this was like 10 years before. Instead, just going, hey, this is this, now we got here, now we got here, now we got here. And I'm pleased to announce, as much as I don't want to give them more credit sometimes, he's right. Like, he actually got it to work. Like, I won't lie, chronological order actually does work for Kingdom Hearts so far. I'm surprised. There's a tiny bit of retcon here and there, but it's not too bad. Which is shocking, I know. Let me make sure I'm coming through, by the way. I know I am. I'm paranoid. Okay. I'm paranoid because one time I streamed Deltarune and I didn't record myself like the whole time. So I was like, I was like, oh my god, we can't have that happen again. Anyway, so the point is, I've always wanted to do it in chronological order. So that's what we're going to do today. And today we're going to be talking about all of the lore from all the way in the deep lore from whenever the start of the world was in the fictional world of Kingdom Hearts, all the way through Recoded, which was a DS game that didn't really matter, but it leads into where we're going to be going into tomorrow with our next part of the dive. Before we do, though, we're talking about now I know we're here talking about a fictional story, right? About Sora and Kingdom Hearts and all the worlds and stuff, and it can be fun to go through fiction. And it can be interesting. I think fiction has its best merit whenever it shows relevance to real life and to things that happen in our lives that are important to us, like love and trust and friendship. And in my life, I know that the most important thing, and in the reality we live in, that I want to always share and put forward is the love that Christ gave. In the story of Kingdom Hearts, there is love of the heart that reaches out to others. And Sora is a very special boy in how he comes into it and how he shares it with others. And we'll be very special about that where we're going after the recap when we start Dream Drop tomorrow. Actually, very important to know. But in fiction, that can be good to have a chosen one aspect of a kid who, through his love, reaches out to others to save whenever such a tumultuous world around him doesn't. And while it's good to talk about a story about that, I think it's amazing to understand that in real life, there is that as well. In real life, there is someone who did come to save those with a special aspect of who he is in real life, not fiction, real. And that is the Savior Jesus Christ. I know that for anyone who's watching the VODs, this is Christmas time. This is Christmas Eve, in fact. And while Jesus was not born on Christmas Eve or on Christmas Day, not necessarily. Oh, was it over there? I saw a little bit of black mark. A little bit of like a thing. While Jesus was not born on Christmas Day specifically, it doesn't mean that it can't be celebrated for his love and grace. And that's what I want to do today. I wanted to share a little bit of the good news that I know that has saved me in my life. Just like in the fictional story, Kingdom Hearts, where Sora reaches out, saves others, and helps them. In our life, we know that we don't have special powers like that to reach into the heart, to touch hearts in that kind of way. We can touch them with our actions, but we can't. No human being can touch another being's heart, can directly influence another person. And that's something that you learn in counseling as well. Which, by the way, I forgot to announce. I'm so sorry. I completely flew my mind because I want to go into this. For anyone who wants to know, I'm a clinical counselor, and for the past month, I've been studying to get my licensure exam, and on Thursday, I took the exam, and by God's grace and love, I passed. So I am on my next step to become a licensed mental health therapist. I am in the state of Florida. I'm not going to say where, but I'm in the state of Florida. So I'm very excited about that. And I have that joy and love because of him working in me to make that happen. And I can guarantee you that's where it comes from. A lot of the times, whenever I come on here, I talk about his love and grace a lot. And a lot of the times, I realize that it may come off as just another belief that someone holds. And I get that, especially with the world it is and like how there's so many different thought processes and understandings of the materialistic world that we can't understand, all that kind of stuff. But I like to put forth what I know that he's revealed to me in his word. And especially at this time of the year, as Christmas, a lot of people start to realize that there is more out there than just what is measurable. In the story of Kingdom Hearts, where we're going to go into it, I know it's fiction, but it does have a good showing of a metaphor for it. In the story of Kingdom Hearts, there is a wise man named Ansem who studies the heart. And he's a good guy, but he made some terrible choices because of what happened to him externally. We're going to get into that today. And because of that, he ended up hurting a lot of people around him. And he thought he could control other people's hearts and understand how it worked. But Sora and others showed to him through their actions and through the work in them that he didn't understand the first thing about what he couldn't see and assess and measure. In my job of mental health, I'm going to be honest, anyone who works in spoilers, just a little bit of pull the curtain back, mental health and counseling and everything is like half science at best. We've got some evidence-based stuff. We know how neurologically things work to a degree, not even fully. But a lot of what we're doing is theorems. That's why they're called modality or theorems, like Adlerian or Skinner or, heaven forbid, Freud. That help us to try things out with different people because everyone's different and because it's not an exact science. The heart, the mind, and the spirit are not an exact science that we humans can understand. But I'm happy to say that there is a God who does, who made us. And it's not just a story like Kingdom Hearts, it's real. And this time of the year shows that and talks about it with, I know a lot of people do. And so before we get started with the Kingdom Hearts part, I just wanted to share a little bit. If I can get this, go away. Taskbar, get out of here. The thing is, like, in the way. I can't. I'm going to go through. I have the slideshow. Okay. From beginning. There we go. Okay. Hold on. Okay. What? No, don't. Why is it like that? Hold on. Give me a second. I'm sorry. Give me a second. I wasn't doing this earlier. From beginning. I want you. There. That's perfect. Okay, great. I want to share a little bit of his word before we go in, and to show a little bit of why I believe in his love, and why stories like Kingdom Hearts to me show fictional kind of a fictional kind of metaphor for what the Lord has actually done in our lives and what can be gained by him. And I want to do that in his birth. Christmas a lot is all the time all about the birth of Jesus. And he wasn't born during Christmas time. He was born in the summer, if I understand correctly. I'm not super great at that and not the all of the specifics of that kind of stuff. But I do know that his birth was the start of a rescue mission for us. You see, humanity has chosen to jump into, as Kingdom Hearts will put it, the darkness. We've chosen to follow our own path instead of what he put up for us. And I think, even from a secular view, people can kind of understand that nowadays. I mean, if you look around anywhere on the news or anything, it's pretty apparent that we don't really get along with each other, and much less reach out and try to help the world or be able to better ourselves in a way that saves ourselves. History has shown time and time again we cannot save who we are. Kingdoms have fallen. Rome, Egypt, um, Mesopotamia, all kinds of things have fallen because of outward selfish humans coming in, or a lot of the time, actually most of the time, maybe even right now, America, implosions from within themselves, because we will ultimately look for selfishness in who we are. I've been reading through Romans a lot, and Romans is a very heavy book with that kind of stuff. It talks about human condition, talks about how to follow Christ and what it means to be justified in his blood and moving through that. And in it, there's a lot of talk about how the soul and how we are something that we can't see. Once again, we can't measure, like the heart is dead without him. We are individuals who need a savior, and it in my opinion, it manifests all the time. That truth manifests all the time in how we look for fulfillment. Each human looks for something fulfillment. Maybe it's a relationship. Maybe it's a job or career. Maybe it's a dream. Maybe it's, I don't know, a trip or something or a self-realization about a change that we want to make for ourselves. And while those things can all be good, in the end, they don't grant that kind of fulfillment. They still leave us empty for the long run, because that's not what was supposed to fill it. As we learn, I do a Bible study every Sunday. Whenever Absolutely my cousin and I go through Final Fantasy 14 together, and I tried to go through all of Genesis in chronological order, and we learned about how Adam and Eve did the fall. Ever since the fall, we humans can't save ourselves, and so we needed someone else to do it, and that's why the birth of Jesus is so important. Jesus was predicted from so long ago that the God of everything would come in the lineage of David, in the lineage of a people on earth, to save those who were lost. If we go into Luke, which is where we're going to be, Luke 2, 1 through 21, and I've used these slides before, but I want to revisit it again because I think it's so important to understand where this comes from. And like we're going to go into with Kingdom Hearts, understanding like Sora as being like a really kind kid who reaches out to others and helps them, that's all good, and that's all well and good, but it's an echo, a faint fantasy, wisp in the wind echo of a true love that isn't fictional, that came from above, that is more than what we can see. So in Luke 2, 1 through 21, in those days, this was back in the olden time, this was after, this was in the Roman, occupation of Israel and their holding of it. A decree went out from Caesar Augustus. All the world, all of the known world at that time, should be registered, basically counted so that he could know everyone in his place. This was the first registration where Quirinius was government of Syria. And you can look this stuff up. Once again, a lot of this, not everything, because we don't have records from that old for everything, but a lot of this stuff is recorded. You can actually do that. For anyone who wants to see that, there's a book. I think they made a Hollywood movie, but there's a book called Finding Jesus that actually has a dude who tries to disprove Christ and the Word, and ends up believing in it because of all the evidence he finds as he goes through it all. You can look all of it up too. And when all of it registered, each went to his town. Now Joseph, this is Joseph and Mary. For a lot of people, if you've ever seen the manger scenes during Christmas time, the man and the woman and the baby. Joseph's the man, Mary's the woman. They were betrothed to be married. Went up from Galilee, from the town of Nazareth to Judea, to the city of David, which is called Bethlehem, because he was of the house and lineage of David, to be registered with Mary, his betrothed, who was with child. So back in those days, it was different. Whenever a person had a betrothed, like a fiance, and if she was pregnant, that was like out of wedlock, that was looked down upon. It was not a really good decision on that. But Mary had been approached by an angel saying, "You will have, by the God's grace for you, will have the birth of the one who will be here through the lineage of David to save the world." And here's the thing: this whole situation about God coming down, born through a virgin, this was already predicted. A lot of times people look at the Bible and go, the Old Testament's different from the New and everything. And it feels different, but the reason for that is that the Old Testament leads to the New. Everything from the fall of Adam and Eve, all throughout all of Israel, leads to this. This is what the meaning of it is that from David's lineage, from the great King David of Israel, that lineage, through Abraham, the first patriarch, would come a Savior unlike any other, who would be born of a virgin, who would come into the world to save it in a very special, very gruesome and sad way. Micah 5:2. Micah is an Old Testament book written a long time ago, but in it, the prophet Micah was empowered by the Lord in order to write this prophecy. But you, Bethlehem Ephrathah, though you are small among the clans of Judah, it was one of the clans of Israel, smallest one, out of you will come from me one who will be ruler over Israel, whose origins are from old, from ancient times. Right, approximately 800 years before Christ's birth. Micah wrote that so many years ago before then. Once again, you can go look this stuff up. There's Dead Sea Scrolls about saying when stuff was written and everything. And Micah's not, I think Micah's in Dead Sea Scrolls a little bit. Isaiah really is. And we're about to have some Isaiah prophecies too that point to it as well. And while they were there, so this is while Mary and Joseph were in Bethlehem. They moved there they didn't move, but they went there to get counted in the census. While they were there, the time came for Mary to give birth. And she gave birth to her firstborn son and wrapped him in swaddling clothes and laid him in a manger because there was no place for the inn. And that was to fulfill another prophecy that I didn't write down here, but there were prophecies talking about how he will be born lowly in a manger. So the God of everything born into a manger here. And in the same region, the same place, same area, there were shepherds out in the field. So shepherds is important to understand by that time. Shepherds were like the lowest of the low, like working class. They were not looked at upon very well. It wasn't really a great thing to be a shepherd, but you got the job done. You know, like maybe like some manual labor jobs nowadays, something like that. So they're the lowest of the low. But like the Lord likes to do, he showed his glory to the lowest and through humility and love because they would listen the most. Keeping watch over their flock by night. And an angel of the Lord appeared to them, and the glory of the Lord shone around them. They were filled with great fear. And the angel said to them, "Fear not, for behold, I bring you good news of great joy." Tidings of great joy, if you've heard about the song. There's a song made off of this, sang all the time during Christmas. This is that song. This is what Linus and Peanuts was talking about. Oh, great to all people. For unto you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, who is Christ the Lord. And this will be a sign to you. You'll find a baby wrapped in swaddling clothes and lying in a manger. And suddenly there was with the angel a multitude of the heavenly host praising God and saying, "Glory to God in the highest, and earth's peace among those with whom he is pleased." This is one of the biggest announcements in human history, in history period, that happened because of a birth. A lot of the times there's the birth of like kings and whenever a person gets inaugurated in office or whenever there's like a country treaty or things like that. This is the biggest announcement that was ever made aside from the cross itself, I suppose, but it's linked together, so it's all it is. And the reason for this, you notice that the angel said good news and great joy. Good news is what the gospel is called. The New Testament starts with the books of Matthew, Mark, Luke, which is where we are, and John. Those 4 books talk about the same story, all 4 of them, but in different angles, never contradicting each other, just different angles and different ways and different people being written to, all inspired by the Holy Spirit, by the Lord himself. And the reason is, it's talking about the good news. All throughout the Old Testament, the Israelites, which through them the whole world was promised, hey, I know things are bad right now. I know the world is fallen. I know you guys can't save yourselves. One day, there will be someone coming. There will be a Savior unlike any other. He will be the Christ of the Lord, the Almighty himself, coming down, but not to save in a upstart or strong way of power and might, not in a vindicative wipe of justified wrath, not in some kind of grand showing. And that's why the Israelites were mad at Jesus, because they're like, you can't be the Savior. Rome's still over us. The Savior's supposed to save us from this. But Jesus didn't come for that. Jesus came for the defeat of something much bigger, something much more deadly. In Kingdom Hearts, for example, I'm going to try and make the parallels as much as I can. Bad guys come up all the time. Darkness invades each world over and over again. And defeating the Heartless, defeating the darkness is fine, but it doesn't get at the root of the problem, which is what the Master of Masters, we'll get into it, we're not there yet, the Master of Masters was dealing with. How can we eradicate darkness from the human heart? For every heart has darkness, besides the Princess's heart, but that's a different. In reality, we're the same. Nomura and all his incredible writings and interesting concepts, spoilers, nothing new under the sun. That's been written all the time. I mean, Tolkien was like that with The Ring, being able to tempt anyone. Shonen Battle series, I mean, Bleach with anyone becoming hollow by giving into their blah, blah, blah. You get the idea. It's all over the place because it's real. It came from a place of reality. Humanity in art reflects reality, and reality can reflect human hearts whenever we, impact the world around us. But there is a set reality that we live in, and there are rules, foundations of love, of peace, of sin, of depravity, of hurt, of oppression, of fellowship, of sacrifice, of all these concepts and things that make up our hearts, make up how we interact with others, make up our fulfillment or lack thereof. That all came from reality, and that reality came from the situation we're in real life. We are a fallen nation, we are a fallen people who cannot redeem ourselves. So instead of wiping us, or instead of trying to have us, fulfill through the law of like, okay, if you obey all these things, which is what was given to Moses, you'll be saved, which is true, but we can't. We literally can't. We're dead in spiritually, and we can't do it. I don't know about you guys, but I sinned 2 days ago or something. I was upset about something. Absolutely. So instead, the Lord Almighty said, okay, I'm going to do it myself. Instead of the world saving themselves as frail and flippant as they can be, I, who am constant in love, will go down there and do the deed and make it a constant like I am, so it can never waver. And that's something incredible that no other, I can genuinely say, and challenge me. Please challenge me if you have something on there, but no other religion does. And I'm not calling out Christianity as a religion per se, it is, but it's so much more. It's a changing of the heart. Just like in the story of Kingdom Hearts, where there's a changing of people whenever they follow what's right instead, and there's a genuine changing in there in the story for characters like Riku and Ansem himself, actually, yeah, and Terra's struggles. In real life, we have struggles too, but it's following a religion, doing some kind of set of rules like the Pharisees, like the Israel tried to do, did not save them. That was not the point. Jesus said, no. This isn't some kind of stipulation, rule-following basis. This is me, the Almighty, coming down and paying for all of this and taking care of this and offering it for free. The greatest gift that was ever given. And this gift, this situation of the good news being preached, that's what the angel's talking about. Isaiah, and this is in the Dead Sea Scrolls. Go look it up if you need to. Isaiah 9:6. For to us, remember this is hundreds of years before this situation happened. For to us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. All titles of Jesus that was given all throughout whenever he walked the earth. This was a Savior that personally came down to save those down here of us. And it goes for each and every person, not just Jews, but Gentiles as well, as Romans talks about a lot. And the mystery of the birth was revealed. When the angels went away from them into heaven, the shepherds said to one another, "Let us go to Bethlehem and see this thing that's happened, which the Lord has made known to us. Let's see the proof." And they went in haste and found Mary and Joseph, and the baby lying in a manger. And when they saw it, they made known the saying that had been told to them concerning the child by the angels. And all who heard it wondered at what the shepherds told them. But Mary treasured all the things in her heart, and pondering them in there. And the shepherds returned, glorifying and praising God for all they had heard and seen, and as it had been told them. And at the end of 8 days, he was circumcised, called his name Jesus, the name given by the angel before he was conceived in the womb, the angel who came to Mary. The birth was given to the most lowly of lowly, the humble, the shepherds, and in the manger, and just to the parents and the ones who were there, not to the high, though he was visited by wise men from a different area. Who weren't even Israelites, so not even Israel was looking for him at that time. He came to a world that did not accept him, wasn't ready for him, didn't want the him that was there, and still did what he needed to do for us because he loves us and said, "I'm going to do it regardless to fulfill my word and for the people down there who I love, not because of anything we've done, but because of what he did." And Isaiah once again 7:14. Therefore, the Lord himself will give you a sign. The virgin will conceive and give birth to a son, and we will call his name Emmanuel, God with us. That's the best thing. And once again, written 700 years before Christ's birth. You can go into this right here. Go there, there. To copy that into your thing. Go look at it. You can read all about it. Jesus came so that we can find peace where we shouldn't have had it before, and that's the beauty of him being able to do that. Once again, it's hard to understand with our human stance about how love works and reciprocation and all that, but God is so much bigger than that. And that birth of the child in the manger, of himself in the manger in human form, and growing up in there was so important to do so I could fulfill everything to save us. And that's the good news I want to share today as we go into a fictional story about a young boy who, through love and through fellowship and through self-sacrifice, touches the hearts of many and sets up for a very, very big situation way beyond him, but through his kind heart reaches out to others. I want to show in real life how a mighty God's kind and humble heart that he came down here for us can genuinely touch your life as well. So, with that being said, let us go on ahead and begin the tale, shall we? So, today, for anyone who doesn't know, we will be doing that is not what I wanted. That's not what I wanted. Hold on, give me a second. PowerPoint is finicky. There we go. Okay. Today, we will be doing the Kingdom Hearts Chronicle for the recap. So, moving away from real life to fiction, but still the semblances of love and grace that God has shown that we can see in stories like this, convoluted as they are, Nomura, we're going to be diving into the entirety of the story so far. This will cover all the way from Kingdom Hearts Union Cross, which is the phone games that were released, Nomura why, all the way through Kingdom Hearts Recoded, which was a DS game that kind of just became a 3-hour cutscene for the re-release that we watched around Thanksgiving time. This story was not complete yet, so a little bit, these will be spoilers from all the way from Kingdom Hearts Union Cross, the phone games, all the way through Recoded. That includes Union Cross, Dark Road, which is another phone game bit, Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, Kingdom Hearts 1, Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, Kingdom Hearts 2, and 358 over 2 days, Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 days, Kingdom Hearts 2, and Kingdom Hearts Recoded. So if you don't want any spoilers for any of that, that is a lot of games, feel free to leave now if you need to. I absolutely understand. Experiencing a story yourself is very big for me personally. Hence, Bleach Thousand Year Blood War coming out. I've been waiting 10 plus years and I actually haven't gotten spoiled a lot. I've been really keeping up with it. It's amazing. So I understand the feeling. So feel free. No harm done. But if you'd like to, and if you're like, hey, I like Kingdom Hearts, but I don't really understand the deep lore stuff, and I kind of want to start with Kingdom Hearts 1, but I'm not sure, whatever, feel free to tune in and get yourself nice and situated. This will take a little bit of time, but I'm going to go through it as comprehensively and as swiftly and comprehensively as possible. I will not be covering every little detail of the story, but I'll try to cover as much as we can that I think is pertinent. We've got about 230 slides to get through, so let's go on ahead and get started, shall we? Oh boy, so this is Kingdom Hearts Chronicle, the recap so far. We start with Union Cross. This is a game that was for the phones, because why? It actually has some of the deepest, oldest lore in it, which... So, once upon a time, in a land unlike ours, there was an entire world filled with fantasy, magic, and wonder. This world was called the World of Light, as you can see here. And it had all kinds of wonderful domains in it, such as a few you may recognize: Agrabah, Halloween Town, Radiant Wonderland, Disney Town, Dwarf Woodlands, Snow White, a bunch of different other areas. Now, these worlds and this World of Light existed in a space that anything was possible. It was a world of fairy tales and fantasy. So the worlds here weren't as they are in that time exactly. They were transcendent spaces where magic and wonder existed, both for the present and for the future, in all kinds of a conglomerate of different biomes of whimsy fantasy. Now, the ruler of this world of domain of light lived in this place here called, oh god, what was the name? There's a bunch of towers in the story, so I'm trying to remember this one. Daybreak Town? I believe it's Daybreak Town. And in this town, this entire land was ruled by the man in the tower called the Master of Masters, this man here with the cloak. This man lived to keep the World of Light safe and oversee it as kind of overseer. He was very wise, very powerful, and kind of like a really odd, eccentric grandpa with untold wisdom that kind of oversaw everything. Now, the World of Light was usually very peaceful, no real issues there, people getting along, and happiness, and yay. Think Garden of Eden before the fall. However, the World of Light existed on a kind of mirrored axis with its other side. So there was a World of Light itself, and on over here. And if you flipped it, kind of like two sides of an Oreo. One side being the vanilla wafer, and the other side being the chocolate wafer. The vanilla wafer being the World of Light. The chocolate wafer on the bottom being the World of Darkness, the Dark World. Think of it like Stranger Things. It's a very good analogy to use. Both worlds mirrored each other, but they were fully separate from each other. And with a little bit of cream filling in the middle, quote unquote, called the Realm Between. This is the realm of like dreams and the realm of like sleep and kind of the weird like gray area between the two, that like pocket space of limbo. A little weird. You can't really get there normally. And for the most part, these two planes, the Dark World and Light World, were fully separated from each other. No way to access each other. The World of Light Desians could not go to the World of Dark. And usually the World of Dark couldn't go to the World of Light. Usually. Now, if one was going to get through, the Dark one usually would. And the reason for that is, well, human beings in this realm, while this world is very fantasy-based and very different from ours, it does share some of our similarities. Inside of human hearts and those who live, and conscious beings, inside the heart of a person lives light and darkness. And because of that, the darkness can creep through. Now, the Master of Masters kind of understood this principle, and he was very special for a few reasons. And one of the reasons he was special was this book here. This book is called The Book of Prophecies. It's basically the screenplay for all of the story. So it would have this whole PowerPoint in it, all nicely neat and so wonderfully drawn here like this. Book of Prophecies is no more a screenplay, though I don't even know if the man knew everything in it himself, or still does. No more is a creative Kingdom Hearts, by the way. In the book was the future and present of everything that would happen related to the world of light, related to basically everything. Now, the Book of Prophecies had never really been seen by anyone except the Master of Masters himself, and he never showed his face to everyone either. Kind of like a mysterious overseer that knew everything, but didn't say anything. The other reason he was special is... Oh, did I not put the other... Oh. The other reason he was special is he had a very special Keyblade. I don't know why I didn't put it on here. I'll put it on here. No, I did not. Wow. Good job, Sal. He had a very special Keyblade. And we'll get into that in a little bit, but it was basically a special weapon that could fight against the darkness and was the oldest one of its kind that he had. Now, the Master with this Book of Prophecies read ahead and realized there might have been a problem with darkness coming up in the future. Things might have been good then, at this time. But it doesn't mean they'll always be good later. That's whenever he met with darkness itself, a good old frenemy buddy. So, darkness is kind of like the human condition. It is the essence of, as this is a Square Enix game, and they love this, chaos. Darkness, the whole point of it is it wants to spread and exist in its infestation. It wants to spread and grow. Darkness at this time of the world, the big W world, the world at large, did not have its own will or entity truly. It was just a conglomerate of will and wishing to be. And because of that, it wished to divide and to conquer, to be part of everything. Not because it wanted to have some big evil agenda exactly, but more because it wanted to pull down and corrupt everything that was like it was, as it not being existent. So Master Masters knew that this could be a problem. So, just on cue, the world of light eventually got infested by darkness. Seemingly out of nowhere, darkness started to pop up from the other side of the Oreo through the cream filling and appear in the world of light. This was a problem because the Master of Masters can fight darkness with his special Keyblade and knowledge, but what about the denizens of all these really wonderful domains? They're going to be vulnerable to the hurt. That's when the world, the big W world, decided to defend itself. And it defended itself by granting power to the people inside. Individuals with strong hearts began to manifest keys that were in the shape of silly swords. These were called Keyblades, and they were the first of its kind after the Master of Masters Keyblade, of course. Each one was basically the same. They kind of like copy-paste kind of thing, but each one granted power to its wielder. And the wielders decided to go forth and fight the darkness. As they did, they had their little Chirithy friends that were given to each of them to help them collect the light that came from the darkness. The whole point was to defeat this and collect this. These were little lux pieces, little fractions of light that came from the darkness when it was defeated. Because light and darkness, as you'll learn in this story, in this world, in the world of Kingdom Hearts, are two sides of the same coin in a lot of ways. So, defeat the darkness, fight together to get the light, and totally not fight each other. Be all kumbaya and holding hands. Well, just as we talked about the Bible, how whenever sin entered the world, the first thing that happened was, the murder of Abel by Cain. Darkness entered this place too, and yeah, they totally got along always with no issues. Except when they did. So, whenever an individual who would be chosen into by a Keyblade would join one of the factions. There were different factions with different individuals who were apprentices of the Master of Masters. They were each given a specific role and task that only they knew about, and were charged with raising the next generation of Keyblade wielders. There was the Unicorn Person. They have names, but I can't remember them. Unicorn Person, this one, this one, this one, and this one. Now, in the game, for what it's worth, whenever you joined, you would pick a faction. So, an individual was controlled by the player, was came into power with a Keyblade and chose one of the factions to join. And it doesn't really matter which one, but he chose one and grew up strong in it. Now, these factions, as I said before, were all strong Keyblade wielders, strength of heart in their own ways, and they were apprentices to the Master of Masters. And he gave each of them a specific role, a special one that the others didn't know about. Why would he do this? Well, the Master of Masters, as we will learn going forward, is a little weird and eccentric and also kind of a dick. You see, he knew that darkness was coming. And he knew because of the prophecy book that darkness was not going to come because of some outside force. Just as many empires fall, darkness was going to come from within. It would start because of the Keyblade wielders themselves. And because of the light being given to them to the darkness that popped up externally, it would create the eventual darkness that would break them all apart. Knowing this, he decided to give them all specific roles to help expedite the process and ensure that light would move on later. Kind of a bittersweet D move, but he's weird. Master of Masters on. So the big unicorn guy was given the role to lead the others and kind of be the big leader guy. The snake one was given the role to kind of keep an eye on the others and act as an advisor. The dude here, the bear man, they all have masks, by the way. They aren't actually bears and unicorns. They have like masks and you can see their faces. The bear man dude was given the role to support the main guy, but maybe the Master insinuated, starting to insert that little seeds of doubt, maybe if, he doesn't make it, maybe you could lead. I don't know. I'm just saying. Yeah, creative friction. And then the leopard dude was here to find out the secret of the missing pages. You see, all of these people were given most of the book of prophecies, like the Master has, but not all of it. They were given incomplete editions. Once again, Master setting up seeds so that darkness will fester in order to have the prophecy fulfilled. Why? We're not there yet, and we still aren't there. Okay, anyway, he did that. Point is, it happened. This lady here, though, the fox lady, was given a very special role. While all the others started to fight amongst themselves and doubt and bitterness started to spread, she was given a different role. While all of them had factions and she had her own of Keyblade wielders, she was given a specific role to find specific Keyblade wielders, those with not just strong hearts, but pure ones, as the Bible will talk about, whatever things are kind, whatever things are honest, whatever things are good report. Think on these things, those individuals. She was told to find those, and with them entrust the future to, as dandelions as they returned. Because he knew, the Master of Masters knew, the whole world was about to have a really big shock in a negative way. So because of that, there would need to be a remnant of light that would live on, with the power of the Keyblade's power of light, to fight against the darkness that would grow from it. So she was to gather those individuals. Now, there were all these, there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 apprentices, right? But there was one more apprentice. This apprentice's name was Lucio. I actually remember his name. And he was given a very special role. He didn't have a faction of Keyblade wielders who followed him. He didn't have a role that allowed him to interact with the others. His role was very different. He also wore a black cloak as well. We never got to see it. We didn't see his face. His role was with two things specifically. This down here. I don't think we're going to see it. This right here. This box and this Keyblade. This Keyblade here is the Master of Masters Keyblade. It is the oldest Keyblade in existence. And it is special because not only is it old and powerful, as you do, it also has this eye here. You'll see right here. See that eye right there? That eye is actually the Master of Masters eye himself. I know. I don't think the eye on the keychain is, though. I think two. He only said he gave one, but maybe he took both of them. With how he's leading things, he might be blind. Or extremely smart. I can't tell. Point is, his eye was put in this Keyblade. And everything the Keyblade sees and beholds and kind of perceives, he perceives, the Master of Master perceives as well. He gave that in this box here. This box of unknown origin with unknown things inside, like Pandora. And he was given the instruction by the Master of Masters. Okay, Lucio, I want you to take my Keyblade. I want you to take this box. And I want you to just watch. Don't do anything. Just watch what happens and have the Keyblade watch as well so I can see as things unfold. And I want you to never, ever, 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 ever open this box. Except when you do. No, that's basically a line he says. He's Master Masters is one of the most interesting characters. I don't understand. Which makes me excited for me. Anyway, so with the Keyblade though, he said, box you keep with you, don't ever open ever ever, except when you do. The Keyblade, I want you to find someone. Someone you know is going to be the right take for this. And I want you to give them the Keyblade when it's time. My Keyblade. So that we can set things in motion for what needs to come. Now, I forgot to mention, I'm so sorry everyone, there's so much to go over, I forgot. All this darkness is spreading between these leaders, right? And all this stuff. Well, you'd think the Master would stop it all and be there for questioning, like, hey, what's going on? Oh, yeah, he bailed. Yeah, apparently the Masters, well, before all this darkness started and everything, he gave everyone their roles, told the Eloquent to come of the Keyblade War that would wage with the darkness, and then he left without telling anyone or anything like that. Yeah. So, with the Masters gone and darkness starting to build, things were getting worse. But as darkness was building, the dandelions were being collected, remember, just to save for the future. However, while they were being gathered, something terrible happened. This girl here, his name is Stelizer. Stelzizer. I forgot. Her name's kind of odd. But she's a very sweet girl. She had a really pure heart, really, really sweet kind of character. And she was supposed to be made one of the Keyblade leaders from the Dandelions. However, as she was going to be bequeathed with the role, something happened. Someone took his Keyblade and killed in cold, the darkness, right before the Keyblade War began. Now, she's also the sister to this dude, who's going to be one of the leaders of the Keyblade Dandelions, and this girl who's just a friend, but she'll kind of be in the story as well. So, she unfortunately met her untimely demise right before the Keyblade War began. They all fought each other, and everyone was wiped from existence. With all of the hearts being ripped from each other and people falling on the battlefield, Kingdom Hearts itself was summoned. The heart of all worlds and the answer to basically everything, this nebulous power that Nomura still hasn't fully explained what it is. Point is, it's the big MacGuffin of great power and untold everything. Now, the Keyblade War, even though war doesn't actually have a winner usually, it doesn't, did have a winner. The individual, the young player character, who originally joined the scene, was the winner and the only survivor of the war. And the whole time, old Luxu over here, just as his master told him to do, was just watching the end of the war, just chilling at the end of the world as he held the Keyblade and all that. Now, the war of the Keyblade wielders was so intense and so clashing of light with building darkness that exploded that the world of light, the vanilla side of the cookie, because I'm sorry, I'm moving ahead of myself. Because of the winner, because the player character, the main guy, won everything, or girl, male, female, won everything, they were allowed to, as Luxu bailed, he literally, okay, that was it, all right, bye. As he bailed, the winner of everything, was able to move on to the new world. He or she was allowed to move to the next generation. What happened to everything else? Well, worlds were broken apart with the clash of light and darkness that was too intense, and the world of light fractured like the broken vanilla cookie piece fracturing, and all the dark side of the ice cream filling with the dark chocolate moving between all the little like cookie pieces around the world. So now all those domains of fantasy and wonder are now sectioned off from each other, little blips of light in a sea of dark limbo between them. Good job, Keyblade wielders. Cautionary tale if there ever was one. Well, while the worlds broke apart, there was still that dandelion group of people left, right? The Keyblade wielders who were still kept together. So it's, hey, how did they move on? Well, in order to help them live, there were individuals made as leaders to these dandelions. New foretellers, like the animal people before, that would lead to the future. And these individuals were Skull, the kind, compassionate, but down to earth sense of reason, young lady. Ephemere, the always bright, ever brave, and kind hearted individual who led light forward as basically the key center of the whole gang. Brain, the literal brains of the operation, who I love, is his best character, who is amazing and is awesome. Brain is great. Who is the super, like, I think it's Shikamaru, like, I don't want to do this, but I'm going to, and I'm super smart. And Ventus, a young new kind of brimming heart of light and hope and spunk, who seems a little out of place compared to the others. His skill isn't that great. He doesn't bring super much, but he's got a lot of good part to him, and he's important for later, so keep him in mind. And Laurium. This guy was the sister. I was the brother. He's a guy. Was the brother of the sister who was supposed to be here, who got killed by an imposter. Oh yeah, by the way, new unit leaders are here, and one of them is an imposter possessed by darkness. Cue the Among Us jokes. Who came and possessed one of them to get into the new digital space. So, because the world shattered before, like we knew and we saw, the cookie was crumbled. Darkness was entering in all around the world from which they lived. And because of that, they need to keep themselves safe. So, what the Master of Masters did before he left was he created a digital space, the exact same as the old world they used to have. And in it, all the hearts were digitized of all the dandelions who were left, who were still there. And they were able to populate this world. And they relived their days before the Keyblade War as if nothing had happened. Except darkness sprang up once again in the digital world. They got their Keyblades again, and Chirithes fought for the Lux Light, and it all happened once again. The whole thing played over in the Dark Fantasy world. But this time there's no Keyblade War. So that's great. Basically, the whole situation played out again as it did before, but this time there were no foretellers. There were none of those the leaders to fight against each other and get the factions fighting against each other to create darkness and all that, so that there's no problems. This time it's just, let's fight for what's right and live in this digital fantasy fake world of our digitized hearts and just live here while the darkness is all encroaching all around us, but we're safe in this little pocket space. And it was a nice little cozy space that totally would never have issues. And the player character was here too, with no memories of the past war. So there as well, but you didn't know the individual didn't know he fought a war against everyone, so everything's fine. Except when it wasn't. You see, glitches started to pop up all around the area. And because of the glitches in the digital space, the outside of, because remember, digital space is like one little, think of it like a little, I don't know, like a little M&M in the cookie, right? And it's on its own. It's a little cream filling. But the M&M started to have cracks. And the cream filling of darkness would start to seep in little bits at a time, filling in the cream filling because of due to glitches. Because of that, the world was still doomed, this time for a different reason. Yay, Nomura. So, in order to stop it, Ephemere and the player character, the winner of the war before, who doesn't remember, because no one remembers the war, went in to stop the glitches and find the problem. Well, through a crazy series of events that I won't go into, basically what occurred was darkness had entered in through Ventus here. I really should have made a slide for that. That's my fault. Ventus here, unfortunately. And Ventus had the darkness inside of him. He was the one who killed, because of darkness, good old Ephemere here's sister. And he felt terrible about it. But he fought against the darkness with his friend's help and was able to banish it and strip himself of darkness so that he only had his light itself and banish the darkness away from him. So, the problem is, the whole world is being collapsed in at this point because of the darkness coming in through the glitches. And because of that, everyone here is pretty much doomed. But there is a failsafe. These pods here were created in order to be able to shoot in digitized versions of the heart into the future, and their actual heart would follow in order to let them land in a future that had already been settled with darkness still there but not over encroaching, so that the lights of this world could be saved, lights of the past. Yeah, we're doing time travel, Back to the Future stuff, but hey, it's not too bad yet. But yeah. So unfortunately, one of there were only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pods total. Masters couldn't have made, more of these things? I guess not. So, one of them had already been broken. Yay! One of them had already been used by actually Maleficent, who went back to the past. Don't worry about that part. We'll take care of that later. Point is, one of them had already been used and was already kaput. Because of that, there were only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 left. So, making a hard decision, Brain over here decided he would stay back, being the awesome sacrificial dude he is, and send the others forward into the future. And so, very delicate mystical stuff, the last hope for Dandelions to take the light to the future. One by one, each of them got sent to the future. Now, there was a problem. Like I said, there's very delicate mystical stuff here being sent to the future, ladies and gentlemen. And because of that, there is the very inconvenient for Nomura, side effect that whenever an individual would leave to the future, they would lose their memories of where they came from because the transfer was too poor and it wouldn't work perfectly. At least for some. I don't remember if it wiped everyone. I think it wiped pretty much everyone's memories. Pretty much. Yeah, I think it pretty much wiped everyone's. And also, they could only be transported to a future where their heart could technically be. So it had to be like a predictive place of where they could go. So it was a little more finicky. Now, all of them got sent off to the future, but good old Brain here decided to stay behind. That's when Lu Shu, remember the apprentice to the Master of Masters, who was given the Keyblade in the box, said, "Hey, I've got a way for you to live. Why don't you come with me?" And so he bailed with Lu Shu. And we don't have the information where they came from because that's the new game coming out, the new phone game that uses the statues, whatever. There's missing link. We don't have that data, so I'm afraid I can't go into that. But the point is, he went to another land and set things up for the future himself. Now, many years passed, and after the individuals from the Dandelions were shot into the future, the ones who were left behind, in the digital space, fell into that cream filling in the middle there. They all became they all slept there and changed into dramatic, dream kind of forms of who they used to be. They're Chirithes. Remember the little let me show you the Chirithes so maybe they can help. The little Chirithes here merged with the ones who were left behind and created these unique beings called Dream Eaters that lived between the realm of light and dark in the little cookie-filled clothing where the dark world had kind of festered a little bit. And there they slept, hoping to be released one day. But many years passed for all those left behind. And in these years, someone was born. Someone very, very important was born. Someone who would set things in motion for who the Master of Masters was looking for to begin to set the plan into its second phase. Because the Keyblade War had already happened, and it wasn't broken. But now, in order for darkness to be defeated, it must try to be harnessed by some individual who thinks that they can grab darkness by the hold, and as Romans talks about and warns about, thinks that they can rule their own flesh and desires. This individual was born into a land that he was quickly passed on from. So, this little individual here, right here, was born to I believe. Okay, this is where it gets a little confusing. So, yeah, Scold. Remember Scold, our sweet girl of really, really kind and down to earth, part of the main group that oversaw the digital world and got transported to the future. Her great-great-granddaughter had a child. And this child was born from Ephemer's grand line as well. Scold and Ephemer got together. The white-haired boy was like the leader. They both got together, of course. Now, because of unknown reasons exactly, the child had to be placed in a different spot because of danger of some kind. The child was special. The child was born with a special ability to connect to hearts in a way that others can't. So, he was given to this individual right here, who is the reincarnation of the player character from before. Whenever the worlds fell apart for the digital world, the player character, the individual who won the Keyblade War originally, allowed himself to be reborn, not fall into the sleep with the others, go, no, 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 I'm going to move on to the future and oversee what can be done. So, Ephemir, the child is from Skull, Ephemir's bloodline. Very important Babu. Very important Babu for the future. And this Babu, to protect the Babu, you need to be taken to a small, totally not important world because the land they were in was too distraught. Their individuals probably looking for the Babu. Too important. So, in order to keep the Babu safe, he was taken to a world of just a quiet little vacation spot. It's far away from the other worlds. Remember, the worlds are individual now, so a little spot way on its own, a little beach of tranquil destiny. And this little boy's name was called Xehanort. This man is very important for the overarching story, at least for this arc saga that we will be covering all throughout this time. This man is named Xehanort, and he is very, very important. We'll be seeing a lot of him coming up. Now, Xehanort had a very, 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 no, he wasn't reincarnated. As he did from reincarnate and raised him. Yes, actually, okay. Yeah, okay. So, this boy had a very, very special power. This boy was able to feel and connect with the hearts around him. As we know in real life, a human being, even someone like me who does clinical counseling, and my job is to literally peer into the minds of hearts and others as much as possible, we do not have the ability to peer into another's heart. Only the Lord does. For it is the heart, it is from the heart that one's life or death flows. The heart determines everything. The intent of the heart and the wisdom of the heart or lack thereof. Well, Xehanort here had the ability to look into other people's hearts, or at least connect with them and feel them, like super empathy for a way. And this guy is the guy who sets everything in motion. Besides the Master of Masters, of course. This is the guy who is found, eventually, who the Master of Masters is looking for. He's the one who was born into this world and born into the little Destiny Island place, the little islands here. And he wanted to go out and see more than that. Maybe he's a child of Destiny? So apparently there's a prophecy that was from way back when, from the Book of Prophecy, that said a child of Destiny would show up that would be the eventual end to darkness, or would be the antithesis, the one who would set into motion as the key to solve the problem. Maybe Xehanort's the child of darkness. Well, that all depends on his actions and choices, now doesn't it? Now, Xehanort did not like his home. As he said before in the previous slide, it was too small. He always yearned to see more of the world, and because of his connection to the heart, the reincarnated this dude, remember, who's seen everything before, he connected this guy and saw the past of those from before in the Keyblade War. He knew there was more. He saw glimpses of it. And he was like, there's more out there. And I can't stay here. Well, ambition is fine in the human heart to a degree, but as many in the world will tell you, in our world, as well as this world, in fiction, will tell you, ambition sometimes can lead to human beings making some not great choices for the sake of what they want to reach. One day, as Xehanort had grown up into a fine young man, he was visited by a strange, mysterious man in a brown cloak, who seemed kind of familiar. This was after his caretaker died, who raised him and passed on. So, this individual shows up after the caretaker leaves, and he says, hey Xehanort, I know you know about different worlds. You know what? You're special. What if I can lead you to some other world? And he opened a dark corridor of darkness. Wow, I didn't fix that whenever I went back. Good job, sir. A Dacrynus corridor that opened up, because remember, the worlds are separated by darkness, but the corridors can be opened by those who can manipulate darkness to walk through. But it's very dangerous to walk through darkness. But the old mysterious man said, I'm sure you'll be fine. Your heart's strong after all. And Xehanort, being the confident young man who could feel a destiny calling out to him, went, you know what? It is strong enough. And went express style through and ended up in a very new and bright place. He ended up in a place called, this name. Cad Ad Astrum, I believe. Cad Elizestrum. It's this place. I'm sorry. The name is crazy. But he ended up here. And he ended up running into a young man called Ericus. Now, this boy named Ericus is, and this is confirmed, the super great grandson of best boy Brain. You remember Brain, the one who got them out? The digital world was falling apart, who sacrificed himself to send everyone to the future. He's the great grandson of him. We know that because the Keyblade he wields the same, and a couple other details. So this is fate, probably bringing them two together. Xehanort, the son of Ephemer and Skuld, meeting the son, the great super grandson of Brain over here. And the two, remember the lineage of Ephemer being the lineage of Brain, and the two of them became best friends who will never ever fall apart or have issues in the future. Well, the two of them decided, hey, let's be best friends. You know what? You're interested in light and darkness. I'm interested in light and darkness and fighting against the darkness and saving the worlds. You know what? Let's study to be Keyblade Masters. So, they joined a class with the rest of their underclassmen in order to become Keyblade Masters together, Keyblade wielders. They played chess together here, which we'll see scenes of in the future, and they interacted with their master here, whose name was Odin. Yeah, I know. We're not sure exactly why that relates 100%, but you know who that relates to in mythology, and all their classmates that they worked together for, as well as one Keyblade that always was kept with the master Odin and held so others could see, as a prime example of the oldest Keyblade that they had acquired. I wonder who this came from. This is Master Keyblade. So the individuals of Xehanort and Ericus and all their friends grew up together and learned about the Keyblade together. But there was an issue. You see, the older class had gone missing. They were the younger class. The older class had been sent out to the worlds to investigate the darkness that had started to brew a little bit more. And they had gone missing, which is very odd. Well, the underclassmen aren't really ready for it, but if anyone's watched Naruto or My Hero Academia, that doesn't stop new heroes rising and to go into rush into danger headlong. Time to send the young ones out to find them. So, Xehanort, Ericus, and all their group went out to find their friends. By the way, this guy here is Lucian. Yeah, we learned about that. So you remember the Master's Apprentice? Yeah, this is him. So secretly, if you want to know where this Keyblade came from, it's like, how did this get here? Lucian brought it. This is his actual face. Or a face that he changed, because he does that sometimes. Because he's still looking for a successor to pass this on to, like his masters told him, remember? So all of them, with Lucian undercover, go off to find their upperclassmen. Well, you see, after a long turn of events, it turned out that one of the other classmen, the upperclassmen themselves, were trying to instigate darkness by taking special things from the worlds to throw the balance off to try to defeat the darkness itself. Because remember, just because you defeat the little beings of darkness, little fragments, the overarching is still too strong. Because darkness seems to inhabit in people's hearts. And the overarching darkness, the big bad darkness, the one with a sense of will of some kind, can infest the hearts of those who are taken over. So they were trying to take care of it. Well, after a slew of very sad losses and a lot of deaths that occurred, turns out one of the classmates here, who has the same power as Xehanort to peer into the hearts of others, went a little cuckoo crazy with despair after losing his older sister to Maleficent. Yeah, the Fallen Fairy. Scary woman. Yeah, Maleficent. Remember, this has Disney stuff. Although it wasn't just Maleficent who did it, turns out the darkness infested this guy, and he ended up killing the others besides just his own sister. It affected him badly. Darkness got a hold of his heart pretty bad. As I know, it's like, well, who would do that in real life? There have been tales of individuals losing themselves to depravity and sadness because of what occurs. That's why one must be very careful to guard the heart, as the Lord talks about in this word. Well, this guy ended up murdering cold blood all the other classmates except Xehanort and Ericus, and Lucian, who bailed and showed this guy up and was like, please, and left out. So, with only two left, and their new classmen and their upperclassmen totally possessed by darkness, only a heroic act can save it. So what do we do to extract the darkness to save him? Is there any kind of way that we can... This is a Dark Road, by the way. It's not a phone game. Is there any other way that we can extract it? Perhaps because Eric has called out to Xehanort, let's try to extract the darkness. We've done it before. Even if it'll return, there must be a way to. Oh, I guess that solves the problem. Kill him in cold blood should be up. So Xehanort decided, remember that whole, is this the child of destiny? Perhaps his actions will show. This is not a very good first showing. So Xehanort decides to nip the problem in the bud and kill the vessel with the possessor and destroy the darkness by getting rid of both. Okay, maybe you're not the child of darkness. Maybe you're not Destiny's child. Maybe that's not who you are. Hoppin' hot Xehanort, hard Xehanort. What the heck, hey? Because Ericus is usually like the oh boy, go golly gee. So Ericus saw what Xehanort did and wasn't too happy with the outcome. Turns out Xehanort decided, you know what? This will solve it easy. It's the easy way to take care of darkness, right? Is to just nip it in the bud. Yeah, Ericus was not very happy about that, and their master was like, "Ooh, maybe I made a mistake here, giving a lot of ideas to you." Well, that leaves the two of them losing a lot of friends, and the other students all passed away, which means all the other Keyblade wielders were gone now. Why is there so much loss in this Nomura? Yeah, if anyone hadn't picked up, by the way, Nomura loves his tragedies. Don't let the happy-go-lucky, yay, Sparkles and Sora, and yay, Happy Magics and Donald Duck of Kingdom Hearts fool you. There's a lot of tragedy in the story. And we're not done with it yet, by the way. So, Xehanort makes a decision. He's like, I'm going to go on a journey. He already did it before to look through the worlds while he was trying to, stop the situation. But I'm going to go on another journey. I'm going to, on my own, I'm totally not going to become evil and find a way to defeat the darkness for good so that this doesn't happen to our friends. And Ericus, being a good friend who just doesn't want to judge, as Roman's talked about, although this is the time I think you're allowed to, whenever there's a problem like this, he's like, yeah, buddy, you go process some stuff. Maybe that was an accident. But in the background, Lucio was watching and saw what Xehanort did, saw the power of his heart, but also the twistedness that could be there. It's like, he's not the child of destiny. I can tell that. He's got the ability for it, but he's not the child of destiny, not with those actions. But maybe he could be useful. You know what? Maybe I should let him have the Master's Keyblade. That seems like the good choice here. So, in Xehanort's travels, he runs into someone very special. He's going to try to figure out the world. He's looking at the state of the place. It's like he's going to a bunch of different neighborhoods and finding out just how depraved the world is and all the sad things that happen, which are not great, and it's pretty bad actually. And he's starting to realize, man, there's a lot of badness in the world. This isn't good. This shouldn't be this way. Someone should fix this. Someone strong enough should take it by the horns. Someone like... Okay, technically this is the second time with the journey, but whatever. And on his journey, just as he's pondering this, he's visited by someone very special. The old Master of Masters himself, in all his goofy outfits and silliness, shows up and says, hey, you seem pretty strong and hard. I know you were thinking about how to change the world. What if you did that, huh? Hey, take this special cloak. You totally won't need it for long. But here you go. This cloak here protects against the darkness. I'm too scared to take it off myself. I'm a coward. Actual dialogue. I love this guy. But you just need this for a little bit. Use the cloak to go around the darkness free and no issues. And just take a look inside. And surely you won't need the cloak for long after that. You know, and so Xehanort, in all his wisdom and, being a real big fan of the prequels of at least the first two, episode 1 and 2 of Star Wars, not seeing the third, said, you know what, maybe Anakin's argument in the prequels wasn't so bad. I misspelled prequels, wow. In prequels, that is misspelled, right? I think it's misspelled. Prequels wasn't so bad. Maybe if someone did just, by power and might, overcome darkness and sin, they could rule the worlds pretty well. What if I took care of it? I think anyone who's watched Star Wars knows where this is going to go. And so Master Masters is like, okay, no problem. By the way, I'm the Lost Master. Bye. And so Xehanort is like, wait, what? Okay, never mind. So He gets the Keyblade of Master of Masters, and he tells Ericus his plan. And Ericus didn't take it too well. You see, Ericus has seen what darkness has done in the past as well. And Ericus came to a different conclusion. Xehanort thinks darkness can be controlled by someone strong. Ericus wants nothing to do with it. He's sworn off of it 100%. He's gotten totally off and like, nope, I am anti-darkness to every degree. If I see a speck of it in myself or anyone else, I'm cleansing everyone. There's no darkness, ever. I will never live through that trauma again, which is why he went into super hyperactive mode with it. The effects of trauma. And so he was taught a much different lesson. And thus, why can't we be friends? Why can't we be friends? Brother. Cue the Pokemon movie, Pokemon first movie soundtrack. The two fought. And in that fight, Ericus was wounded and Xehanort left. And with that, the two disappeared from each other's lives for many, 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 many years. Xehanort went on to continue to peruse around the worlds to try to solve the mystery of how to defeat darkness. He knew that Kingdom Hearts was the key because he knew about the Keyblade War. And he knew how darkness was brought into the world by the Keyblade War and the light of it. But could it be taken out by the same way? If Kingdom Hearts showed up again, could it reverse the process of the world breaking? And could it solve all the problems? And could I be the one to instigate this? Once again, ambition, taking the better reins of a human being and allowing themselves to be taken with their own sin. So, many, many years later, Xehanort has become, we enter into Birth by Sleep. This is the first game that is not a phone game. All that was in a phone game, by the way. 2 phone games. Can you believe that? All that important lore? I love you, Nomura, but you're killing me here. Anyway, now we're in the first game. Birth by Sleep, released for the PSP back in, 2009? Oh, God, it's old. No, I was in college. 2010, 2011, I believe, something like that. The point is, in this takes place 10 years before Kingdom Hearts 1, by the way. And in this, we see an older Xehanort, now an old man, take the first true steps in instigating a plan to get Kingdom Hearts to happen. A plan that's going to have ramifications and effects all the way to where we're going to the end here and what will be tomorrow in Dream Drop. So, in Birth by Sleep, old man Xehanort's here, and he's looking for potential to get to Kingdom Hearts. Now, there are a couple ways you can get to Kingdom Hearts based on ancient prophecies and all this stuff. And probably multiple more that Nomura has in his back pocket or up his ass that we don't know about, because I swear he pulls this stuff out of nowhere. So, one of the ways to do Kingdom Hearts is to have a great clash of light and darkness, like the Keyblade War that summons it to solve the problem. You can also do it by having 7 pure hearts and 13 darknesses clash with each other in a way that gets it to unfurl, kind of like the Keyblade War once again. But if you also that's a way that you can bring Kingdom Hearts down, right? They can come in. But another way that you might be able to do it is there's an old prophecy of something called the Keyblade. And the Keyblade can be made from pure light and pure darkness. So in that quest to make something like that, he finds someone interesting. There's a young boy he finds on his travels who seems pretty out of it, pretty vacant, not really knowing much, as if kind of amnesiac or with dissociative fugue, if you would, for those who knows mental health. Yay, my training. It basically means dissociation with wandering preacher. Have you ever seen anyone like, I don't know where I am, I don't know who I am, that kind of thing. He finds someone. This little boy is named Ventus. This is the same Ventus that was shot into the future in Kingdom Hearts Union Cross, the Deep Lore, the Data World, and has now lost his memories because of the effects of being shot into the future. He landed here, but he can still wield a Keyblade. And remember, Xehanort here and Master Ericus are really the only ones left who can wield Keyblades, because everyone else is gone, either through one tragic mean or another. Now, the other ones who got shot to the future maybe could wield Keyblades too, but we have no idea where they are or if they made it safely. So, this young boy here can wield a Keyblade. He doesn't have any memories of how, but he can do it because of the innate. Once you learn to ride a bike, you never forget. So Xehanort figures out, like, hey, this boy has some light in him, some pretty good light, and an interesting relationship with darkness. Because if you remember, Ventus was possessed by darkness back in the deep lore, back in the data world. Remember, whenever it to that girl's sister, that guy's sister, and he separated himself and defeated it. But it was still with him. It still it still jumped back in to a small hole in his heart, but it was totally separated from his light. So Xehanort was like, "This is an interesting situation. This boy might be a good key for him." So he decided to train this young boy in the ways of light, but also in the ways of darkness, thinking that if he could get him to master both correctly, he might be able to get his own heart to clash correctly in a way that could make the Keyblade. So he wanted this. That's the Keyblade. The Keyblade is able to access this, Kingdom Hearts, which he wants in order to take care of darkness, to never let it have a hold on anyone again. The ends justifies the means, after all. As long as I can get control of it, that's what matters. In order to do that, he's going to need to make the Keyblade. He needs pure light and darkness to clash. So, in order to do that, he made darkness attack his young apprentice here and tried to get him pushed so that little Ventus here would use light, but then resolve to use darkness, which is much stronger in its burst of rage and hatred. You've all seen Star Wars, in order to lash out against the others. But Ventus would not do it. He said, "No, I'm not going to fight these things with darkness. It doesn't feel right." His conscience that the Lord has placed in each and every one of us in real life, that in Romans tells us to obey and not to break as much as possible because it's placed there for a reason. It told him no in this fictional world. And so Master Xehanort was not pleased. He was like, "Okay, you know what? I'm going to take desperate measures because I'm tired of waiting. I'm getting to be old, and my life isn't eternal. I need to get this thing done now." So he made a desperate move. He took his Keyblade of old and stabbed it into Ventus, and through meticulous control, through the Master of Masters Keyblade, remember the one with the eye that he has now, he divided Ventus's heart in two perfectly, splitting the darkness that had once controlled him, remember in the deep lore, the data realm, into its own entity, and for now Ventus to be a being of pure light, which is very unusual. The only beings of pure light in the world are princesses of light. There are 7. And they're like Snow White, Sleeping Beauty, all those individuals, as well as one other special. We'll get to that. But besides them, there's usually not beings of pure light. There's always darkness in every heart. Ventus got it separated, so now he is a being of pure light. But the process was very deadly. And even as great as Xehanort was, Ventus fell into a coma with his heart fractured horribly because he literally ripped it apart in a way that should not be done. So as such, Ventus was pretty much out. And Xehanort figured, crap, I murdered someone. Again. Well, time to dispose of the body. Now, where can I put it that no one will see? I know. I'll put it in a special place. Also, because this individual here, who Xehanort named Vanitas, as he came from Ventus's heart of light and darkness, in his own darkness, was able to summon these beings called Unversed. They're heartless, guys. No more. Okay, this is where Nomura is stupid. You could just use Heartless. He's a being of Heartless. He came from the original darkness. He can control. We have to get through this whole thing, so I'm not going to go on a huge spiel. But these are Heartless. They are lesser Heartless, basically. They're beings of negativity. Whatever. They're crappy Heartless. Leave me alone. Whatever. They're Heartless. You're good. So he said, I need to get rid of the body. So what should I do? I know. I'll visit my old world where I grew up, where no one really goes that much. There's a beach. There's a little island off the coast that no one goes to. A little island of destiny forgotten, where I'll leave his body. And so he placed Ventus down, now in a comatic state, with his heart fractured and not being able to wake up and being like, well, I suppose this part was a failure, but I got Vanitas, so with a being of pure darkness, I'm sure I can find a being of pure light, like Princess of Heart or something, and make this work. However, Ventus's heart was not fully gone. This is where kindness starts to take a hold against Xehanort's steps. You see, all this time, Xehanort has learned to, in order to deal with darkness and hatred and hurt, I'm going to lash out. I'm going to grab by force. And I'm going to use my power of being able to connect to others' hearts to enforce on the hearts of control out of fear. See, biblically, we know, and mental health wise, usually anger and control and hatred, a lot of the time, is born out of fear. Fear of what if? If I don't control the situation, I'll lose someone again. If I don't control the situation, darkness will take hold of me. If I don't control the situation, I will never be able to see the destiny I need. And because of that, Xehanort has now, instead of being the child of destiny like he's supposed to, taking control of things for the right reasons, Anakin, he's decided to take it by force. So all this time, we've just seen what an individual with the ability to touch hearts would do in this kind of scenario if they were evil, right? If they decided to force it. But what if there was an individual who chose a different path than that? What if there's an individual who, instead of forcing his heart on others, decided to share his heart and invite others in? Well, that's what happens right now. As Xehanort was about to leave Ventus, he noticed Ventus raise his keyblade and shoot off light as a beacon of SOS to help, to get it from someone else. And his beacon was answered. A little light, a newborn soul, just coming into itself, just being born with light and love, answered his call. And this unnamed soul shared his heart. It gave his heart and shared it with Ventus. It allowed Ventus's heart to touch his own with its own power, because it also, this newborn heart, had a special ability like Xehanort's did to connect with others in a very direct way. And instead of forcing it on someone else, he allowed Ventus's heart to come into his own, his newborn, and heal Ventus's through communion and fellowship. And because of that, Ventus woke up, without memories again, fractured and hurt, but alive and breathing and beating in a heart. And this young heart, spoiler, spoiler, is our sweet, sweet boy that we'll be seeing down the road. That's right. The other candidate for Destiny's Child, Sora, a little individual who is just born and is already in one of his first acts, reaching out to someone else and sharing in fellowship to help that person. Well, Xehanort saw Ventus wake up and saw something happen. Now, just as God blinds the eyes of those who don't look and those who refuse to listen, Pharisees, Xehanort's eyes were blinded to what the occurrence happened. What happened here? How was Ventus able to wake up? He could not fathom that someone would share their heart with someone else and take on another's burden like that. He's so removed, because he's silenced his conscience for so long, so far removed from the act of fellowship and vulnerability with others that he couldn't understand what could have occurred. But whatever it was, Ventus was up. Now, Xehanort doesn't like not knowing things, but he'll take results where they come. Ventus was still alive, and Vanitas was there too. Ventus is a heart of pure light. And Vanitas is once again pure darkness. This plan might still work, but he can't be raised with me. I can't foster light very well, and he has no darkness in him, so I can't work with that. So what should I do? Well, that's when Xehanort remembered his old light buddy, Eraqus. And he went to Eraqus, and he asked him, all nice and friendly, hey, I know we kind of had our differences. I might be evil. I might have been evil, but I found this kid, and I'm trying. Wow, look at that typo here. Look at this. I'm trying to raise him right, but I struggle with darkness so much. You know that. You know I'm bad about it, man, and I'm sorry, but I'm trying. I just don't think he'll be good with me. I think this kid might be the one, the Destiny's Child. It's Child of Destiny, but I can't not say Destiny's Child now. Do you think maybe you could take him? I'm the bad guy. I'm evil. I mean, I just struggle so much. And Eraqus, wanting to put bygones behind him and trying to have a good, forgiving heart, which is good, decided, okay, I'm willing to overlook red flags here and totally take this kid in with no questions beyond that, and the fact that he can't remember anything. But on the plus side, Ventus now has a home, and a home where he's not alone. You see, there are two individuals who are also studying to be Keyblade wielders, who have strong hearts and were able to be bequeathed Keyblades of their own by Master Ericus here, who was bequeathed to be Keyblade Master to pass on to others. He's got two here called Terra and Aqua, who go to Ventus and see him kind of distraught. And they're like, you know what? What if you were our little brother? Come and join us. And so Ventus said, sure. And thus, the trio was made of the young and naive but kind Ventus from the past, who used to be a Keyblade wielder, now growing up with his two best friends / brother sister, basically. The loyal but brooding, struggling with darkness Terra, aka Anakin type, and the reliable, confident, skilled, beautiful, gorgeous, kind-hearted best mom, Aqua. She is the savior of this series in so many ways, and you will find out why. You will learn to love this beautiful Keyblade Master, of who I love as well. My God, Aqua, you are best wife, and I love you so much. That's all important for the plot, by the way. Actually, I was making it as a joke. It actually is important for the plot. Yeah, my biases are confirmed or reason. She actually does do a lot of good things. Anyway, so there were three individuals. Ventus himself, Terra, who was very strong in power and heart, but had struggles with darkness, which seemed to always follow those with power. And the kind, reliable, awesome, gorgeous, beautiful, best mom, Aqua, who seemed to look out after the two and had a lot of competency and skill and beauty in every single way. So, the three of them wanted to be Keyblade Masters. They promised each other they would help each other, have each other's back, and be Keyblade Masters together. He's not supposed to be here. I forgot to take him out. I'm sorry. Let's cover. I can't cover him. I was going to cover him with my hand, but I realized you guys can't see that. He's not supposed to. Just hold on. Pretend he's not here for a second. Okay? I messed up. Just leave him out for a second. So, all three of them. All three of them trained to be Keyblade Masters. And eventually, the day came for the Mark of Mastery exam. This was an exam, much like my own, which would determine pass or fail, and whether they could be Keyblade Masters or not. And if they failed, they'd have to wait long periods of time to try it again. It would be a huge determining factor, putting a lot of unnecessary pressure on the individuals to pass, with a lot of doubt and hurt for those who didn't, like a certain exam I had to take. Why is it like this? Why do we do this as humans? Why is it one exam? Countertransference. Countertransference is happening. Where's my supervisor to talk to? Anyway, the Mark of Mastery exam came by, and Terra and Aqua were up for the challenge to see if they had the proof. Funny that Ventus wasn't taking it because he technically has had a Keyblade longer than anyone here, technically, but he lost all his memories, so he's kind of young. So, well, he's not actually young because he's so old because he got sent from the past. And then, whatever, you get the idea. Anyway, point is, Mark of Mastery came up, and Terra and Aqua were up for the test. Now, remember, these two used to be besties of Ericus and Xehanort, and because Xehanort had brought the young Ventus to him, and it seemed to have really turned over a new leaf, Ericus was like, you know what, Xehanort, I'm sorry about our past. It looks like that journey's done some real good for you. How about you come over and help to judge the Mark of Mastery exam? The two of us are the only Keyblade Masters left from the old times. How about you help me? And Xehanort was like, oh, well, I'm totally not evil, and I'd really appreciate that. You know what? I'll be here for you. I appreciate that. So he joined in and totally didn't have an evil plan. So, the exam happened. Now, during the exam, a little bit of weird snafu. Darkness seemed to appear out of nowhere and kind of mess with the exam a little bit and cause a little bit of problems, but I'm sure it went fine. And after the exam was done, during it, after the judging, Aqua passed with grace, as we all knew she would, and Terra failed. He did not pass. Like the first time I failed my licensure exam by 1 point. Terra barely failed because of a little bit of dumb darkness stuff that wasn't his fault. Don't transfer itself. This is where bitterness gets involved. Terra ended up failing. But during the exam, it looked like it might not have truly been his fault. You see, Terra's more vulnerable to the darkness because of his great power, and because he just has an affinity for it. Darkness itself isn't necessarily evil. The element is not terrible. It's the twisting it does. Kind of like the flesh and our desires are not bad themselves, but they usually might make us go into a negative direction because they make us think of ourselves selfishly. So Terra ended up failing, unfortunately. Although Xehanort might have had a little bit to do with that. So whenever Terra was doing his fight against Aqua for the exam, a little bit of darkness may have been prompted a bit. And Ericus saw that and said, no, 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 I'm not having any darkness. Remember, because Ericus lost all his friends to it and almost lost Xehanort to it. He did. He is evil. But, so he's like, if I see any darkness, it's not happening. Terra, until that darkness gets cleared away, until you compartmentalize that, which is not healthy, well, suppression, until you suppress that fully, it's not healthy. I don't want to see that anymore. You're not master. And so Terra is very, very distraught. And as someone who's failed the test once before because of bullcrap, let me tell you, bitterness will build. It shouldn't, and I'm sorry, Lord. I love you, but it will, and I'm sorry. So good old Palpatine saw this, good old Xehanort, and went to speak to Terra individually. He said, Terra, hey. I know you struggle with darkness. I saw it. Hey, don't worry. It's okay. I also struggled with darkness when I was young. But you know what? When I went out and saw the worlds, I learned more. And I learned that darkness might not always be bad. It may even be a way to control. You see, the lies of the enemy, of the devil, and of reality to ourselves, always manifest in half-truths. Never forget that, people, because they do. Xehanort technically wasn't lying. He did go on a journey on his own. He did learn about darkness. But it's not that he fully had control. It's not that it didn't lead to evil and twistedness in himself, which is he's conveniently left out of the conversation with Terra. So he tells Terra, why don't you go on ahead and go through the worlds and see how darkness really works. Maybe when you have this is so bad, or maybe it can be controlled. Maybe there's more to it. And maybe I'll be able to use it one day. I mean, maybe you'll be able to use it one day. And Terra's like, you know what? Thank you, Master Xehanort. I'm going to go through the worlds and see how I can control my own darkness through my power and might. Which I'm pretty sure we all have an idea of how that's going. Now, Vanitas shows up. Master Mark Mastery exam. Terra used to be best buddies. Terra fails. Is told, hey, maybe you should, go with the darkness. Maybe you should learn a little bit. And he goes, okay. And Vanitas shows up to Ventus and goes, hey, you know what? Your buddy Terra's going to give into the darkness, and he's going to be real danger. Bet you can't save him. And so Ventus, being the sweet but impulsive child, he goes, yeah, I can. I'm going to go save Terra. And so the two of them go off. And Ericus, being kind of distraught as the good parent is like, okay. I'm not going to go out myself. Apparently, the worlds have been experiencing little beings of negativity. Oh, I don't know where those could have come from. Little unversed as you were, little heartless minion things. Don't know where those could have come from. Who could be orchestrating that? Uh-oh. And said, you know what? I've got to take care of things here. Aqua, as a newly bred Keyblade master, I want you to go out and keep your eye on Terra and bring Ventus back. Ventus can't be out on his own because, remember, Ericus knows Ventus could be the special Destiny's child and thinks Ventus isn't strong enough yet and thereby must be protected. And so Aqua is like, okay, I'll go be the best mom and take care of everyone else. And before she leaves, Master Ericus says, wait. There's a few things I need to tell you. It gives her a few special instructions and special abilities that only a master is able to have. Keep that in mind because that'll be important later. So Aqua goes off, and then all three depart. They go throughout the worlds 10 years before Kingdom Hearts 1, and all three are going on crazy adventures as Ventus chases Terra. Terra explores the worlds and has a little bit more of his darkness growing as he does, more and more. And Aqua chases both of them, trying to bring them home like best mom. As they do, Terra struggles once again, and Xehanort shows up every so often and tells Terra a little bit about more not so great ideas about, hey, well, your friends seem to be not really liking your darkness. That seems like a problem they have, not you. Seems like a personal issue, don't you think? Perhaps you don't always need them every 5 moments, huh? Maybe they're a little too not great anymore. Maybe you don't need them. Maybe you just need your darkness and power. So yeah, not a great thing. He also tells someone very, very important to the story, the only Disney character really besides like Mickey and them that actually has overarching impact of the story. for a fallen fairy known as Maleficent. And everyone, if anyone's seen her as Sleeping Beauty, you know she's a real deal. She's a real villain. She's awful. He tells her about the other worlds. He breaks the taboo because the rule is when you go to different worlds as a Keyblade wielder, you don't speak about where you're from. You just kind of are like you can't meddle, as it were, throughout the other worlds. But Xehanort tells Maleficent about the other worlds and about Keyblades, and most importantly, about princesses of heart. You see, as I said before, there are 7 princesses at any time. It's like a rule of the worlds. There's 7 princesses of heart, you know, Belle, Sleeping Beauty, and all them, for right now, who have pure light in their hearts, like Ventus does now, but they have it naturally. They don't have the darkness like most people do. And if they have the if you have the 7 princesses and you use them together, you can actually open the door to darkness as a back door to the other side of the cookie. Remember, we're on the light side right here with all the dark in between, but there's the other side of the cookie where the real darkness is, where the heartless come from, the real dark stuff is. You can open the portal to that if you have the other heartless. I mean, if you have the other princess's heart, not heartless, and the heartless power too. And so Maleficent's like, I'm going to keep this in mind as I move forward. As they travel, good old Vanitas shows up and messes with both Terra, Ventus, and Aqua, creating doubts in both of them. Also, during all of this, a sly guardsman in one of the worlds named Bray shows up. And he interacts with Xehanort here and kind of works for him, says, hey, if you can get me a Keyblade, then I will help you with what you want to do. And so Xehanort's like, fine, I'll take another pawn, sure. And so Xehanort imparts darkness onto him a bit so that he can fight and uses his powers to tempt Terra a little bit and push him farther, as well as mess with the others too. Well, as the story continues, each of the individuals ends up on a special world throughout their travels, Terra being the first one. Terra ends up finding his way pulled, as if by his own heart, to a special, quiet little vacation world away from all the others. A little world where destiny kind of births in humble beginnings, where his new master, Xehanort, originally was raised from as well, which he did not know. A little place called Destiny Islands, appropriately named at this point. And there he meets 2 very important individuals, very young but important individuals. He meets a young man of strong heart, of power and strength, much like himself, but who may also, because of that power, struggle with similar things he himself is struggling with the darkness. A young boy named Riku. I lost his name. A little boy named Riku. And another boy, not very super strong in heart, but very bright, cheery, and open, whose name was Sora. That's right, Riku and Sora, whenever they're both young. Look at the kids. Look at the sweet boys. Now, and from Riku, he sensed a lot of power, a lot of strength of heart and fortitude that really could make a good Keyblade wielder someday. And though he's not a master himself, he's got the state registered internship, and that's good enough, right? He doesn't have the piece of paper of licensure, but it's good enough. So he uses his power to bequeath the Keyblade to Riku here. To Riku. You're a small child, touch my weird-looking sword, I'll give you special power. And Riku, being a totally good kid who knows not to trust strangers, but does anyway, says, sure, whatever. Just don't give in to the darkness, screw everything up, like I totally won't do. Like, isn't gonna happen for our boy here. Yeah, sure, whatever, I totally won't. Wait till Kingdom Hearts 1 and we'll see how that goes. Also, I'm here too! Now, it's important to note here that the bequeathing, in order to become a Keyblade wielder like Terra here and Aqua and all them, there are a few ways to do it. Now, we knew back in the past, the Master had his own Keyblade from who knows where, and he bequeathed them to his apprentices, and all the other people from way back before the worlds broke kind of got theirs from the world itself. Remember, they all got the same Keyblade in order to fight off the darkness way back when. But that was then, this is now. The worlds are broken. The only way to be a Keyblade wielder now is there are a couple of different ways. One, you can manifest your own, but you've got to have prerequisites of a very strong heart, and you have to have power already with you in some way. And that doesn't happen a lot at all, really. It's super rare, and you really have to have someone teach you how to bequeath. It really needs to be passed down in a way. The second way is to be bequeathed in a special ceremony like this one here, which Terra has done to Riku. By the way, Terra's name means earth, as I'm sure many of you knew. Riku's name means ground, something like that. It's a parallel. And Sora's means sky, and Ventus's means like wind. So yeah, how about that? Yay, parallels. So this is one. This is a way that the Keyblade could be bequeathed and made, and Riku got his. He was bequeathed once. So now Riku has the potential to be a Keyblade wielder officially. He got his little license of thing. Notice here, Sora did not get bequeathed a Keyblade. I want everyone to remember, because that's very important. He did not get bequeathed a Keyblade here. Outside of his nice and pure heart, which does still have darkness, he's not a being of pure light. He has darkness too, but because of his kind heart is all he has. As well as maybe a special connection with someone else because of his special power to connect with others. But he hasn't bequeathed the Keyblade. Remember that. Very, very important. Okay. Meanwhile, going through the other worlds, Aqua was finding her way as well, fighting off the unversed, the non-heartless, and trying to figure out where Terra was and Ventus, as she had lost him again and having trouble. On her travels, she saw some unversed pestering a young girl, and so she protected the young girl. And as she talked to the young girl, she realized this young girl, whose name was Kairi, was a very special heart. She had no darkness in her. She could tell, she could feel there's no darkness. She was a princess of heart, a young one, and just born. Every young girl's dream of being a Disney princess. Oh my gosh, that's probably where Kairi came from. Oh my god, it's just every girl's dream being a princess. Or oh my god, gosh damn you, Gamora. So obviously the unversed attacked her once, so darkness would probably be drawn to her pure light again at some point. And while she seemed well protected here in this town of light and guards and everything, it could not be the case in the future. So Aqua, being the best mom protector she is, as one of her first duties as Keyblade Master, with her amazing magic, because she's kind of magic based, zippity bop, boppity boo, I put a protection spell on you. If things go bad, you yeet out of there. And Kairi accepted the spell. So what she did was she put a protection spell on Kairi and basically said, hey, this spell, if anything happens to you, it's really, really bad, like the darkness overtakes, seek out the closest light you can in order to protect yourself. And this spell will help you to do it. And she's like, okay. Also, Mickey's here, apparently. So yeah, so Mickey's been going through the worlds as well, and he's training to be a Keyblade wielder as bequeathed by his master, Mr. Yen Sid. Yes, Fantasia Yen Sid. Yeah, that guy. Apparently he was a Keyblade master. Okay. You know what? I'll allow that Disney guy to be it because he's awesome. So, unfortunately, things start to fall apart. Because as Ventus travels, he learned from Vanitas about his truth, about himself being a being of pure light, and Vanitas being the other side of him. And if they ever clashed, the Keyblade would be made, which would destroy the world, since Summon Kingdom Hearts in a bad way. So he enters into brooding mode and returns home with his tail between his legs. And as Erika sees him, as he sees this wayward child soul of pure light struggling with the darkness clash that could happen, what does he do as a man of integrity and of light? Well, he decides if this can happen with you clashing with Vanitas, the only logical decision is to kill you. Because, remember how Xehanort did it to that one kid in the past who got possessed by pure darkness? And Ericus was like, Xehanort, how could you? That's awful. Why is it not awful now? Bad logic, I guess. This is like one of the parts of the... I will say, and I understand it's driven by fear. Ericus is driven by fear here. That he doesn't want to lose someone again. So he's having to delete the problem here. And just kind of like wipe it and do the greater good and all that. But it's still a pretty bad argument, I won't lie. It's one of the weaker links in the story. But he does go crazy with, I gotta protect everyone, and trauma will do that, I suppose. So, bibbidi bop, boppity boo, gotta kill you now. But Terra shows up and sees the situation and goes, Master, how could you? You told me darkness served me, but I'll use that darkness to protect. So he yeets Ventus out of there, creating a opening himself with his Keyblade and shows him out. And then master and apprentice, failed apprentice and begrudging master face each other. But as Terra's not strong enough, he needs more power. So he pulls on darkness, as he's learned to do throughout all of his world traveling, and as his good old new master Xehanort told him about, to fight against Eraqus and beat him nearly within an inch of his life. He beats him bad. But he's able to catch himself and says, I don't want to go any farther. And Eraqus is like, I don't want to go any farther either, son, I'm sorry. And then, as things are about to settle, nope. I'm going to force this. Xehanort shows up, and like the conniving, backstabbing guy he is, uses the Master's Keyblade, stabs Eraqus, and defeats him. And Eraqus dissipates in a realm of light and goes away. And Xehanort leaves as well, as Eraqus goes bye-bye, and Terra is not happy. And the hatred builds towards his wow, you were my master, but now you're not my master, and you're totally not Xehanort. And as he does, the world begins to fall apart because Xehanort causes it to because he sucks. So as their home begins to fall apart, Terra leaves to face off with the traitor Xehanort, who was always bad the whole time, as the strings of the puppets move into place as he's always wanted. So now Terra's here, ready to face off with the darkness built, but I can control it because I know it's used for right reasons now. Because vengeance is totally not for the Lord. This is why vengeance is not a good idea. Terra's being overcome by it. And Aqua sees it and calls it out, but Terra's like, don't worry, I got this. Ventus, on the other hand, approaches the other two and says, look, you guys got to destroy me. You got to kill me. Because if I clash with Vanitas, which is going to happen here, this Keyblade's going to be made. Xehanort's going to get Kingdom Hearts going to be bad. Was like, we're going to find another way. Terra's like, I'm going to make another way. I'm going to take it in my own hands. And so the face-off occurs. Terra goes straight for Xehanort, and a huge battle clashes. Xehanort, because of his old... Sorry, that was loud. Xehanort, because of his oldness and old man the state, falls to Terra and almost gets beaten. But just as Terra's about to beat him down, say, in, like, chain triumph, his darkness manifests so strongly because he needed it to beat Xehanort. And as it overtakes, as the Bible talks about, if we don't rule our flesh, and the Lord's the one who helps us to do it, in brightness and kindness and humility, the flesh will overrule us. And as the darkness overtakes Terra and he's starting to struggle, Xehanort sees his opening. See, he's been prepping Terra the whole time for the right moment. Because using the Master's Keyblade, the oldest one, with all the tricks and all of the abilities he's learned throughout his years, he stabs himself with the Keyblade, frees his own heart, and sends it straight into the darkness on Terra. And because he can control dark, because Xehanort can control darkness much more, he uses it as the strings to ingrain himself into Terra's body and put himself as a bone structure around Terra's limbs and take control. And thus, Xehanort gains control of Terra's body. And the old out with the old, in with the young and new, and spry and strapping. He says a line like that. Leonard Nimoy voices Xehanort at this point, by the way, which is awesome. It was a little weird when he voiced it. They're a little bit of a weird line. He pulled... Spoilers for Naruto. It's very early, but spoilers for Naruto. My finger will be down when it's over. He pulled an Orochimaru for Sasuke. He wanted that. But he actually succeeded. Okay. And he takes over Terra's body. Meanwhile, against better judgment, while Braig holds off Aqua and Mickey, forgettable but important battle to buy time, Ventus was forced to battle Vanitas as the Keyblade began to be formed. And as it did, Vanitas and Ventus's hearts clashed, and Vanitas took control of Ventus's body as the two began to merge together again. And because of the merging and conflict, the Keyblade was made incompletely, but it was made. And Terra and Aqua and Mickey could only look on in terror as this began to unfold. So we've got Xehanort now with Terra's body, mustering control and holding on, even though Terra's will in his armors tried to fight back but couldn't fully. and fought back as much as he could to keep Xehanort away from these two. Terra's Terra's armor with his mind fought back in order to keep them away from this. And Aqua tried his best with Mickey. It looked like things were really bad. But within Ventus's heart, he still resisted against Vanitas. Even with the incomplete Keyblade here, he still fought as best he could. And that battle sucked, by the way. If anyone's seen, you could go to Icarus Redeemed on YouTube, which this will be put on as well, in order to see that battle. Holy crap. Well, the battle was hard, long fought, and it wasn't going well for Ventus. And the more they clashed, the more the Keyblade was going to be made. So the forces fight with the incomplete Keyblade. It was going to be made at some point. So there's only one thing to do. Ventus decides if the Keyblade needs my complete heart to be made in order to happen, what if my heart was incomplete? What if I shattered it like it once was before? And so Ventus shatters his own heart in an act of sacrifice, which separates himself from Vanitas once again, and therefore breaks the Keyblade from being the Keyblade, the special Keyblade. I know I say Keyblade. This Keyblade here is the one that makes Kingdom Hearts. It's called a Keyblade. It's literally, I keep putting this up because it's written in the story as right here, Keyblade. Actually, lowercase technically. It's the word for key, which means, it means like complete or something. I think it means key, but it also means something else that has to do with Kingdom Hearts. Whatever. Point is, it's a special Keyblade. That's used to Kingdom Hearts. It breaks as well. And Ventus's heart is shattered. And as it's shattered, it leaves his body, and his body flumps to the ground. Now, normally, whenever a heart leaves a body, something heartless is created, as well as something special sometimes. But the body's lost. But because of Ventus's heart's uniqueness and being pure light, the body just plumped to the ground, and the heart got shattered and spread out and just lost. It would have been lost to the darkness or to the ether, but it needed to find shelter. If it could find a place of light and shelter and hope, a fellowship, a place of love and belonging, maybe it could heal. Maybe if it just had a little R&R time, maybe somewhere by the beach. So, with Ventus's heart gone and his body, and Terra nowhere to be found, our best girl Aqua takes Ventus's body, and Mickey also got shot out to a place where we don't know. He was okay, he just got shot out into the world or whatever. Aqua was left behind with just the body of her friend. And so, in a comatose sleep, his heart's gone. So, Aqua needs to put him somewhere safe so she can go put the pieces back together. She's the only one left, being best girl holding together, as Ventus's heart's gone, his body's comatose, and Terra's gone. And she has to go get Terra, see what's going on there, try to help him, because she doesn't know he's taken over by Xehanort yet, and try to get the heart back for Ventus. But she's got to keep Ventus's body safe. She can't just sit around. So, when their destroyed land of departure here, their home that's falling to the darkness in terrible shape, she pulls what's called a pro gamer move. God, pog internet. And just a special trick that only a master of the Keyblade can do, which she is. Before Ericus he taught her how to use her Keyblade for something special. So she puts Ventus's body down, she inserts the Keyblade into the back of the world, in back of their home, back of this building, and turns with a special spell, a special summon spell, special ability. And, being the best girl she is, taking care of all the problems, voila! The world was transformed as it was falling. Remember, because the world was falling from the world of light into the darkness, so it's in that cream filling. Remember, it's in the middle. Before it fell all the way, she locked it and transferred the world into its own pocket space in the cream filling. Remember, between the world of light, the fractured world of light, and the world of darkness, the chocolate cookie, in the cream filling, she made a little pocket space there, called Castle Oblivion. A voided pocket space where anyone who enters memories can begin to get screwed up, and where no one can find their way in, because it's a labyrinthian maze of memories and blank. That way, totally a place to have just sleeping friend with no thump and no heart left. So Ventus is hidden somewhere in the deepest hidden chamber of waking, where one day Aqua will return, the only one who knows how to access the room with our sweet sleeping boy in order to get him out. Now remember this place. This Castle Oblivion will be very important later on. Because remember, Aqua, anyone can get if you can find this place, you can get in here, but only Aqua can get to a place, the room inside where Ventus is. So keep that in mind because Aqua is the only one who can get there. So Aqua goes off thinking to return with Ventus's heart to find Terra. And she finds him in Radiant Garden, but she finds him not as himself. Aqua confronts Terra and fights to save her friend, now teetering control with Xehanort. Inside Terra's body, Xehanort and Terra are fighting for control, with Xehanort winning because he has more experience. He's a stronger heart, but Terra's got a strong heart too. He's holding on as best he can. So Aqua from the outside, with Terra inside, try to fight as best they can for it. So the battle for supremacy occurs within the shared vessel, and things are starting to get out of control, a little too much for Xehanort's liking. With this, as things are going, Aqua might actually succeed in getting Terra back, or at least back enough to cause him some problems. But he wants the control, and he needs his body because his old one's gone. So he has to pull a desperate move. His own pro gamer, risk it for the biscuit kind of thing. So what he does is he takes the Master of Masters Keyblade and he stabs Terra's body once more, just as he did with himself. But this time, not to unlock, but to seal. And he seals both his heart and Terra's deep inside the body so that the two of them can battle with no external factors and so that the stronger can have their influence take over. So he stabs himself and darkness is unleashed as the hearts are sequestered inside the darkness of the body itself. Well, because darkness was so unleashed at that moment, a portal to the dark world, remember the other side of the cookie opened up because Xehanort did an oopsie he wasn't supposed to do. And now a basically comatose Terra's body begins to fall into the world, into the portal, and be lost to the realm of darkness. Remember, the two sides of the cookie, you can't go to either side. Once you're on one side, you can't get to the other one easy, except for a situation like this that's like it's usually easier to get to the world of darkness than it is for the world of darkness to get to the world of light. Darkness can travel between the two easier, but light, nah. And with Terra's body falling down there, there'd be no way to get it out. And finding it there in the realm of darkness where the heartless live, where like, think of it like Mordor, like beyond the gates of Mordor. We're talking deep in Mordor, or for those of you who watch Bleach, Hueco Mundo, like way in the forest below Hueco Mundo. You know, the arc that Tide wanted to make and never did, but it became a filler. So, with his body almost falling in, and Aqua seeing this, and with desperation to save her friend who she loves, who she still believes is in there, and she saw the fight and has faith, she won. So what does she do? Well, she be his best mom, of course, and best character in this entire series. Sacrificing herself, she pushes Terra out of the darkness from below, falling herself, sending her Keyblade and her armor, which protects against darkness like the cloaks do. Remember, like the Master of Master's cloak. Protects against darkness. She sends it up with Terra, shooting him back through the closing door. I should not have done that. Through the closing door. Don't edit that. I'm not going to edit it out, but don't come. Through the butthole. Through the butthole of poopy darkness. That's terrible. She shoots him through so that he ends up back in the world of light, where she falls into the world of darkness with no way out, no armor, and the only thing left, her master Ericus's Keyblade, not even her own Keyblade, falls into the darkness, falling to the chocolate part of the cookie, and she's lactose intolerant. But yeah, in order to save Terra. Now, Terra wakes up. Well, Terra's body wakes up. Because remember, they're fighting for control. Both Xehanort and Terra are locked deep inside, and neither one of them has real access to what's going on, right? So the body's kind of left. Now, usually whenever hearts are lost from a body, a heartless is made, but their hearts weren't lost. They're locked inside, right? Connected to the darkness real hard. So, Terra's body is found by a man named Ansem the Wise. And this man is the ruler of this world called Radiant Garden. This is where Kyrie lived, if you remember the background. This man is studying the heart. We mentioned him before at the beginning of our dive today. He's studying the heart. He's a ruler and also a scientist, and he's trying to figure out how the heart works in order to better everyone's futures. He finds this young man of amnesiac origins who doesn't know where he's from, and asks him what his name is. And this man answers and says, Xehanort. You see, within the body, Xehanort and Terra's hearts are fighting, right? But Xehanort's influence is more. He's the more powerful entity. And while he's not in control, consciously, his personality and influence of preferences is what's rising to the surface and making the personality and conscious. A little bit of psychology. Can't believe I'm going to your Freud, but I do like this bit. Freud, a little bit of psychology here for everyone. Freud always believed, among other stupid things, but this one does have some merit, that there were three parts to an individual. There was the id, which is the unconscious and real part of the self, where the real desires and who you truly are comes from in the subconscious area. Then there was a superego. Then there was the ego, which was the conscious part of an individual, like actual actions, what I'm going to choose to do. And superego, which was external, which is kind of how society and rules and regulation and policies that one is learned to follow is. And he believed all people were depraved by nature, which actually is true biblically. But that the superego was dumb anyway. It was just there to hold us in place, even though really the superego is the love and grace of the Lord coming down from above to our lives and rejuvenating us. Freud was dumb. Anyway, but think of it like Xehanort and Terra are in this id down below fighting. And Xehanort's influence is rising to the top more and meeting as the ego that has itself acting in the world, with the superego of the world around him kind of coinciding with that, while Terra's way below. Think of it like that. So this new young man, with the influence of Xehanort as control, but not Xehanort himself, we're going to call him Terranort. This is getting complicated. Oh boy, we have it. We're not in Dream Drop yet, guys. That starts tomorrow. We're not complicated yet. Oh boy. This is not a little... And this isn't to be like, it's not a little child story. No, this is where we're too convoluted to be a little child story, guys. We're not done yet. But Terranort is this young man. Now, Terranort was also watched over by Braig. Yes, good old Braig. Remember the guy that Xehanort paid to help? He knows what's going on. And he sees, okay, this is a long-term plan. You don't know who you are, do you? Okay, that's okay. Hey, I'm your friend. I'm going to help you out. I'm going to keep an eye on things. Because he knew the old man's original plan, or at least the main thrust of it. So he's like, I guess this is part of that. Let's just keep going for now. And so Terranort lived here and studied the heart. Because remember, as Xehanort was always interested in the heart and how it functioned, now Terranort is interested in the heart and how it functions. And wants to find out how it really works. So he learned under Ansem. With all of these individuals, such as this scientist dude, this little upcoming scientist, and the guardsman, these faces and people that you will totally know, total nobodies that you won't, that'll probably not be important later. But what about Aqua? Well, Aqua fell to the world of darkness, and as I told you before, there's no way to move between the two easily at all, and she has no resources to do so. So, her long wandering begins. Her wandering of now, where we are in our part of the story after recoding, remember, because we're going to get there, after Kingdom Hearts 1 and all that, of 10 years. 10 years, people, in the world of darkness, on her own, no X Factor or special thing, just her heart, her Keyblade, and her promises to carry her through. Aqua is a boss, and I love her so much. So there's Aqua, and there's Terranort, Terra's body, I suppose, and where Terra is. But what about Ventus's heart? Where did that go? Remember, his body's back in Castle Oblivion, but where did his heart go? Well, his heart found a place for a second chance. A young, pure, not perfect, but bright young man whose early heart had shared fellowship before, and who had a special power to connect with the hearts of others. He came to, again, And the little boy said, "Sure, I don't know who you are, but come on in. You can have a second chance." And our boy Sora got Ventus's heart deep, deeply placed and sequestered inside his own in a little nook of healing and fellowship to heal and to be ready to return to his body. So, many years pass, many years pass. And as they do, King Mickey, our sweet, wonderful king who learned to use the Keyblade, who now hasn't seen his friends Aqua, Terra, or Ventus in a while and is really worried, is going around the world searching for them because he's worried that things are starting to go bad with the darkness. He's noticed that some of the worlds are starting to have trouble with darkness and being maybe even swallowed by it. So he goes to meet and visit with his friend Ansem the Wise. Just the two besties having ice cream and talking about hearts together. The two became good friends over the years and started to talk about the problems of the world and how they could fix it. Ansem always seemed to know an answer, and Mickey's kind heart and advice would always help to lend to it. The two talking together could solve a lot of problems, and where Ansem may get a little too set on his knowledge, Mickey's wisdom and kindness and humility helped to bring him through it. And they really were good friends together. As they talked, Mickey met Terranort, a young apprentice known as Xehanort. Now, I know what you're thinking. Wait, doesn't Mickey know what Terra looks like? First off, Terra's hair has changed, and he does look decently different. So there is that. Also, Mickey was not close to Terra. Terra in his travels did not meet with Mickey. It was Ventus and Aqua who met with Mickey. So, Third off, you're going to have to just... This is where Nomura, I think, made a mistake. Because Ansem calls Terranort, this guy, Xehanort. He's going by Xehanort. So wouldn't this prompt him to be like, wait a minute, that's the bad guy? You know, he never did. He never heard it. So it must have been years later. He didn't remember. You're just going to have to go with it, okay? You're just going to have to go with it. Mickey has a bad brain fart. There's too much ice cream. Brain freeze, problem. Just let it go, okay? So Terranort shows up and says, Master, can I do the dark experiments now? So Terranort, after the influence of Xehanort inside, wants to do experiments on the heart, like Ansem. But he wants to do it a little more not morally gray. You know, the stuff that would pass in the city of Rapture of, sure, we don't have a moral code, do whatever you want. Not here. He wants to experiment with darkness and its reaction to the human heart. And his master said, absolutely not. And he's like, don't worry, Mickey says this stuff all the time. He's just curious. He'll come around. He won't do it anymore later. Yeah, he turns out he wasn't just curious. You see, Xehanort with this guy as well, who was like, ooh, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Let's go against the Master Ansem and do our own experimentation. I like this. And started to mess with the darkness of hearts in a very negative way. And apparently these two were in on it too, to a degree. I don't know how much. And because of that, and the experiments were pretty bad. It was like locking people in cellars and stuff. It was bad. Because of that, because of their messing with darkness, remember how whenever Xehanort locked his heart and caused the dark portal that Aqua fell in? Remember when you mess with the heart too much, a dark portal could pop up and all that? Yeah, that happened again. Except this time, Aqua wasn't there to help with it and close and all that. This time, it exploded, and all the darkness poured in, and all the heartless moved, all the beings of darkness, and totally overenveloped the world. And all the world got lost, and everyone here's hearts got lost and eaten, including Terra Xehanort himself, which means Terra and Xehanort's hearts fell into like a dark corridor they were like stuck in now. And Master Ansem ended up in the world of darkness himself. Everyone else lost their hearts, gone. No one knows where they went. Oh my gosh! And Ansem fell into the realm of darkness because oopsie. He didn't lose his heart, but he fell in the realm of darkness. You know where Aqua is. You know where there's no returning. You know where these beings prowl in their own home. And thus, his journey of The journey into the shaded bowels of hatred and vengeance began. And he becomes Diz, and in order to, he vowed revenge on those who wronged him, throwing away the morals he had told Xehanort to follow himself, and said, "This is personal against me, I have the right, I'm going to take them down." And thus, his misguided revenge plan, the smartest people fall to it even, began. And he made himself covered in bandages because blood of enemies or something becomes Diz the day. Okay, anyway, point is, 10 years later from Birth by Sleep, not from that, but Birth by Sleep had passed. It's been a few years since Radiant Garden fell to darkness. The worlds have been having trouble, and now we return to Destiny Islands. This is 10 years after Aqua fell into the world of darkness. Terra Xehanort, his body went into the study of the heart, and Ventus is sitting there, his body's sitting there in a castle oblivion, just waiting. And Sora's heart, and his heart is inside Sora's. Speaking of Sora,